Welcome everybody back to another fantastic episode of the Amateur Experts Podcast, where we are experts on absolutely nothing. I'm your host, Landon Oliver, here with my two co-hosts, Andrew Scott and Jared Holly. And this week, of course, as we do every weekend, it is week 9 money-making matchups, where week 8 we did have some success. If you're listening, coming from the YouTube Shorts, which we did our first one, shout out to Andrew for that. Get ready for week 9. We're really excited about this. This week's episode, of course, is brought to you by tequila and margarita. And we're really excited for week 9, guys. I'm especially excited because the Colts finally won a goddamn game. I shouldn't say that, but look, we're already full in here. So me and Big Jared celebrated tonight. The Colts won. We went out and got some Mexican food. Got some.
I drove his ass around.
Yeah, he drove me around. Don't want to pull a Henry Ruggs.
No Henry Ruggs situation over here.
No Henry Ruggs. I had a driver. Everything's good. And look, you see how simple that was? It's extremely simple to just not drink and drive.
Now imagine how much easier it is if you're a multimillionaire that has so many resources at your disposal.
Yeah. So, super simple. So here we are, money-making matchups, week 9, where we go through, give you our smash or pass, and we give you a free FanDuel and Draft Kings lineup to play for the week. Andrew might even have one he might throw out this week as well. He's been doing pretty well in the last few weeks, cash in some lineups as well. So I know he's working through one at the moment, and we're actually going to go through it live on the show.
I need Big Jared's help finishing it off. So we were going to do it before the show started and said, look, why are we sitting here talking about this before we hit record? Let's just hit record and do it from there. So
can I do one rant real quick?
Of course.
Yeah, this is a safe place for that.
So last night on the FanDuel single game slate, the grand prize in the big dollar one had Josh Johnson in it.
Oh, how did anybody know to throw him in a lineup?
That's how hard it is.
Multi-entry, man. Like, people just at that point, if you got 150 lineups, you're throwing, you'll throw anybody in. Yeah.
I hate these bots that do this shit.
Dude, I had my lineup was so it was on, I picked the wrong tight end. I picked freaking Mo, and it was Doyle. Right? I had Mike White, and I didn't start Wentz.
Danny Pinter. Yeah. Shout out to the big boy scoring a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. But y'all had an O-line touchdown.
Yeah, tight end, right? Recruited tight end out of Ball State, became an offensive lineman. Still got the hands. Love them big guy touchdowns. Man, Carson looked good last night, didn't he?
He did look good.
He's looked good all year, man.
He looked good. Well, if you listen to the media, those 2 passes last week were the entire 8 games. Because they've been shitting on.
Well, those guys are searching for anything that can help push their narrative that Wentz has been bad, whenever the reality is he just hasn't been.
He's on pace now. He's on pace right now for 34 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, 4,200 yards.
I think that's about what Cooper Kupp's on pace to catch.
Well, without the picks, Cooper Kupp don't throw them motherfuckers.
No.
He ain't fumbling either.
I've kind of decided that I really hate the single game DFS games. I just don't man. I'm almost done playing them at this point.
I'm swearing them off.
See, it's weird. I feel like I do better on single games than I do in just straight tournaments.
So I haven't done great this year, but for 4 or 5 weeks straight now on the main Sunday slate, I've at least made some money. Even if it's just a couple bucks, I've made some money for 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
You've been on a streak, whether it's either making your money back or just making making a profit. And look,
a small profit. I haven't hit big
and look, if you're a degenerate like most of us, then you know the old saying, you never go broke taking a profit.
Right. But the single game slates though, I literally can't remember the last time I cashed in one.
I'll give you some advice on that. Something I've learned on the single game slates. If you're going to play them, play the single entry ones where people can't multi-mass 150 lineups. Because at that point you're playing a little bit even, like an even field.
Right.
If it's one game and literally there's a total of 20 offensive players that potentially could touch the field, and someone's sitting 150 lineups at $9 a pop, I ain't playing that kind of money.
Yeah.
And like I'd play a single game $5, throw it in there. Most likely you'll double up because you're smart enough to cash in on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always the single entry ones, I always make it a point on Sunday to play, to put in a lineup for those. So yeah, I probably should do that on Thursdays too. Because if in a single game tournament, if somebody wants to put in a third string quarterback and he ends up beating me, then fine, whatever. Right. If that's what you went with on your single game lineup and you win, then hats off to you. But
I highly doubt anybody played him in the single game lineup.
Right.
Where
exactly
150 max, they're going to play backup kickers even probably.
So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on the like Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, single game, island game rant. I've had basically no success.
Did you just say the trigger word?
What did I say?
Island game?
Did you say island?
Yeah, is island a bad word?
Like the Island Boys? Like I'm an island boy. I'm just island boy. Oh, come on. You guys don't. I know Jared knows the Island Boys because I showed him
now.
Yeah, because of me. You don't know the Island Boys, Andrew?
No, I'm so
God.
lost.
All right. Hold on.
See what?
Yeah, so hold on. We're gonna play this on the show live.
Oh no.
We're gonna go to YouTube. Yep, we're doing it. You're gonna pull up YouTube. We're gonna
play longer don't play longer than a couple seconds. I the audio won't come through if I play it.
Okay.
But we could also get copyright striked. So
Well, these guys aren't really copyright.
Because that might be their one big, their one big break is being on our show of 20 subscribers. That might be the big break they're looking for. And then they sue us.
You don't know the Island Boys here?
Look at that big ass tablet phone. Good Lord.
It's a fold. It folds.
Oh, I know. It blows my mind every time you open it.
Yeah, dude. It's so it's crazy phone. It's so cool.
It's crazy phone.
I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy.
Hey, I'm an island boy. I'm just island boy. You see what they look like?
No,
it's a little blurry on the video, but no, I can say with full confidence I have never heard that before. That is new to me.
Well, yeah, they're literally blowing up the internet right now. They're taking over TikTok. They're taking over the world. The Island Boys.
Just because we haven't made our TikTok premiere yet.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're actually a couple weeks late because these dudes have literally been everywhere for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's awful. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. They actually got a record deal out of Island Boys. Yeah. So that's where we are as a society. So anytime I hear the word island mentioned over the last couple of weeks, my mind immediately goes to, I'm an island boy. I'm an island boy.
This makes me even happier, but I don't choose to have social media. Because I don't know any. Landon would be like, you heard that? I'm like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, which is why we have such low numbers, because there's only one of us that promotes the show.
Fair. It doesn't help us.
Yeah.
And that's me. It's me versus the Island Boys, and right now the Island Boys are winning.
I just can't.
I need you to pick up the guitar and make some kind of stupid song.
I can do that very easily.
And then just put our YouTube thumbnail in the description of the video.
I can do that very easily. If you ask my fiance, there's a regular occurrence in our household that I make the dumbest things up.
I like it.
Yeah. So we do have some news to get to before we get into our week 9.
So we have football to talk about today.
Yeah, exactly. Like every episode,
every show, ever.
Yeah, no other sports exist, only football. And we got some Odell news. Odell Beckham released from the Cleveland Browns today, or actually not today. Technically, he will be released officially on Monday. The waivers, as you know, every player that is released, regardless of contract or years played now due to the COVID rules, goes through waiver wires. The waivers will process at 3 p.m. Central Time, which would be our time, and 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So we have a good 3 to 4 days worth of speculation on where Odell Beckham ends up. I personally think he gets claimed. I know, Andrew, you think the same thing. Jared, do you think he gets claimed, or you think he's free agent status?
I think it depends on the situation.
So the team that they're only
on the hook for like $7 million now.
That $7.25 million is
that's very affordable for Odell.
Yeah, but they did negate. Yeah, I was gonna say they did negate the final 2 years of his contract, so it is only going to be a 9-game rental if you do claim him. To me, I don't know why you wouldn't, but
I know the logical thing is the Lions, right? Like they'll have waiver.
Well, they have priority. They have waiver wire.
I don't know if they will.
I will give you I'll give you the top 10 waiver wire priorities. As you go talk a little bit about it, and I'll pull it up real quick for you.
Yeah, I mean the first several teams that are going to be in there, knowing that it's a 9-game rental. I mean, maybe if you think you have the culture and the building blocks in place to try to bring Odell in and convince him to sign long-term, like you think you have the good futuristic outlook that, you can convince him to stay, maybe it makes sense for you. But most of the teams that are at the top of the order, bringing in a wide receiver for, $7.25 million that you're only going to have for 9 games doesn't make sense for a lot of those teams at the top. Yeah, so they might do it just because they need a receiver. But
I was going to say, so here's the current top 10 with the updated waiver wires, and it is number 1, the Lions, 2 Dolphins, 3 Texans, 4 Jags, 5 the Jets, 6 the Giants. Wouldn't that be interesting? 7 Washington, 8 Eagles, 9 Seahawks, and 10 Bears. So
best case scenario is the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's what I would say. The Seahawks could do it. I don't necessarily know if they have the money for it. I believe.
All NFL teams always have the money.
They find a way.
Always.
I believe the Seahawks do.
They have years.
They have
turning shit into signing bonuses. And
the Seahawks basically have $12 million in cap space right now, so that would be a very simple claim.
I'll tell you where I'd love for him to go.
The Lions.
And it's not going to happen. Is the Green Bay Packers? Is where I'd love to see Odell Beckham play.
Yeah, it would be really cool.
I think at that point. I know I predicted Green Bay in the Super Bowl, but they have a legit shot against the Rams.
I mean,
I think they have a legit shot without Odell. So if you add Odell, they definitely.
But if you, they're right now, like they don't have a number 2, man, and they lost Toney on a year 2. And I would say I would put Toney over Lazard, MVS, or any of the other receivers on that team.
Yeah, all of their number 2 receivers are number 3, number 4 receivers on most teams. It's just the Packers don't have
and Odell with Aaron Rodgers.
Oof. Yeah, that would be disgusting. That would
with be disgusting. With a running game and a defense is coming around.
Aaron Jones is their second best pass catcher.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, and plus, look, that could be the perfect option too, because as we know, the Green Bay Packers, Devontae's a free agent after this season. Aaron Rodgers has that trade clause after the season where they've agreed to trade him. They could go all in this year, and Odell's a free agent after.
He's a team that's a team right there that makes sense. That is the opposite of what I was saying. Teams that don't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think he makes it that far, honestly, because Green Bay.
I don't either.
I
don't see it happening.
I think he gets claimed by one of the top 10 teams, and it just kind of.
Seattle does make a lot of sense.
Seattle does. I know the Lions.
They've been trying to add pass catchers, and he would be coming in right around the time Russ gets back. They make that second half push. They can still make the wild card. Once
the Lions waived Tyrell Williams today with an injury designation, which takes out another wide receiver on a team that's already wide receiver needy. We all know the Lions aren't going anywhere, but I think if they get Jared Goff a legit an actual weapon, they can see if he is the future. Although Andrew already knows.
I don't think they need a weapon to.
Yeah, I was going to say I was waiting for it to say you already know the answers to that. But
if they haven't made their mind up on that yet, they are way behind the 8 ball. They need to get that shit figured out because he's made that answer plain and clear for them. So
you know who they
Odell's
should, you know who they should hire to play quarterback.
Shane Falco, see an option.
The Island Boys. It's the Island Boys.
Odell's a weird cat to pin, man. Like, he's been in the league for a while now, but we don't have a lot of sample outside of like the years he succeeded was with Eli Manning, a veteran quarterback. Like when he's not done anything in Cleveland whatsoever. He was either hurt or him and Baker didn't click. That's why I think it would take a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers. And that's sad to say with that guy's talent to succeed, but I really feel like it's a culture thing, and he needs a veteran quarterback to succeed. Like it's crazy because I would say
somebody that's going to throw him the ball when he gets open. That's pretty much what it is to me.
Yeah, like, but what's weird too is like Baker is like immensely better without him on the field. Like I'm talking about like you go from like a 80 passer rating to like 109. Like immensely improves without him on the field, which
I
makes
do think
zero sense.
Yeah, I do think those are some weird trends that I don't know if that's going to continue.
I just think he feels forced. I think he feels pressure to look at Odell first, and then whenever that's not open, he kind of gets away from the
I used to feel that way, but
I do.
There's so much tape out there that shows that, like, if that was the case, Odell would be garnering more targets.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I think like he looks that way first, and if Odell's just not initially right open, he moves on.
But a lot of times, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times he is open, and he's still not throwing it to him. So like that just makes me feel like Baker just isn't. Maybe Baker just really isn't that good.
I don't know. I think too
because like if the issue is he's trying to force it to Odell, or he's looking too much at Odell, then why the hell isn't he throwing it to Odell? Because Odell's open plenty, and so like that was my.
I don't think he's open as much as that video that was sent out.
It's not even just that video though. There's been several analysts over the past few weeks that have been using other clips that aren't in the father video. And people like breaking it down, like, look, here's where like
the father video. I love it.
I mean, and look, kudos to his dad, man. Like, stick up for your kid.
Well, his dad didn't make the video. Somebody else just made the video, and then his dad just shared the video.
Yeah. Like, but good for him for putting it out there in the world.
Does Baker Mayfield
I'd do the same thing if it was my kid?
Does Baker Mayfield have a top 10 offensive line?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Does he have one of the best offensive lines in football?
Probably, I would say the best. Yeah.
At one time during the season, he lost Kareem Hunt, obviously, but did he not have a running game?
Yeah.
The best running back duo in the league.
Does he not have two legit?
It's the best running back duo in the league.
Freaks.
Did you see Naheem Hines last night?
Oh, shut up, man. Chubb and Hunt are better. Come on.
Jonathan
Does
Taylor.
he not have two very talented tight ends with a third that potentially could be talented?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a big stable.
He still can't produce.
What do you mean he can't produce?
He's not producing. That team right there, there should be. Well, you guys at the beginning of the year had that
very
team
high on the Browns.
Very high. And why'd you have him that high?
Everything you just said.
It's Baker Mayfield.
It was everything
it's not
you just
Odell.
said.
At the end of the day, you can't blame a wide receiver for your problems. The problem is going to be your quarterback.
Yeah, but whenever he's not on the field, he doesn't have problems. That's the weird thing. Is like those problems don't exist without Odell.
I don't say they completely don't exist. The numbers do show he's been better, but I wouldn't say Baker is free of problems.
I would never say I don't think any quarterback's free of problems. I mean, even Tom Brady last week, against the Saints, which Jared did call. I mean, no quarterback's ever going to be free of problems. There's always going to be room for improvement. But the fact is, he is, for whatever reason, marginally, like not a little better. He's a lot better, and it is not a small sample size. It is a large sample size.
I think it is a weird. I think it is it's one of those weird stats. I think it's a positive. Think is going to continue.
I think it's a positive for both teams.
I mean, clearly the Browns listened to our show and heard us call for his release, and that's what caused it. Because I mean, look, the show went live last night. The release happened today. It's not a coincidence. Okay, the Browns heard us. And I have a really hard time buying into the we're better without this really good player narrative. Like it just doesn't. And for a while I tried to buy into it for the same reasons that you said. Like I thought maybe he was feeling more pressure. Maybe he was just looking at Odell too much. But if he was looking at Odell as much as people thought he was feeling pressured into doing, he would have been throwing more to Odell. Like it's just the reality of it. Like if you're looking at him that much and you're making it that much of a priority to make him your number one read, he would be getting the ball thrown to him more. So I don't know. I'm glad that the two parted ways because it was clearly the right move. And
yeah,
I don't think either one of them are bad players.
Well, also too, it's just a rough.
Not working.
Look, it's a rough offense for wide receivers. Like if you look at like whenever Stefanski was with the Vikings,
we brought that up a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stefanski with the Vikings, with Diggs and
Thielen and Diggs, their targets and receptions on a game by game basis.
Yeah, 30% less than what they are now with a different thing. So look, Stefanski wants to run the ball. That's always been his philosophy. They have a team built around that. The offense.
They use multiple tight ends more than any team
exactly.
in the league.
So
they don't need a star wide receiver. The offense does not. The offensive scheme does not call for it, and it makes no sense that the two highest paid players on that offense were Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. That just doesn't make sense. Now, granted, both of those contracts came in before Stefanski came in, so I think this is part of them trying to correct that and trying to make the team fit Stefanski's system. But I just feel like,
and I think their win loss. I think their win loss record is like, to me, it's not on Baker.
It's not all on
Baker.
No,
the whole team has not been.
The defense has been a letdown.
Yeah, their defense is really.
They looked much better on
Nick
paper.
Chubb was hurt. Kareem Hunt's been out for weeks.
They've had a lot of
like,
injuries in their defense.
It's not just
very
Baker
similar to the Colts situation where like Carson Wentz has not been the issue that the Colts are 4-5. I mean, outside of the Tennessee game last week, but even then, they've
there is a little bit of a difference there because there is at least tape out there to blame Baker Mayfield. Like Carson Wentz, people say that Carson Wentz is the problem. There's not much tape this year to back that up. Like Wentz has looked really, really good.
Yeah, you literally have two plays in week 7.
If you want to make the case that Baker's the problem, there's plenty of evidence out there you can use to your advantage. Now, I don't think he's the whole problem by any means, but I'm just saying, those two, while the teams and the issues the teams are going through are similar, I think
that's
Wentz
just
has
the
been.
Point I was making.
Yeah, right. I want to give some love to your boy because I do think Wentz has been significantly better than Baker.
Technically, Wentz right now, if you go by numbers, just PFF specifically numbers. No, not PFF numbers because we don't do those here. Because PFF numbers, Wentz is the worst
quarterback. 34.
Yeah, exactly. But no, by the actual legit numbers and by the eye test, Wentz is actually ranked number 8th in quarterbacking overall, and he has a DVOA that is only behind Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, for whatever reason that is a thing this year, and Russell Wilson. So technically he's been a top 5 quarterback in certain statistical things, but we don't do just one statistical thing. But
I'm trying to find where he is on this EPA chart. Okay, he's like right there in the middle. Never mind. I was
he's kind of been in the middle in those, but I know right now, which I mean, granted, he now has an extra week ahead of everybody else that's still to play Sunday, but some of the numbers that were posted today claimed that if you go by a bunch of, you combine a bunch of different numbers together, he's actually been the number 8 quarterback in the league. And look, just by the eye test, I was going to say by the eye test, it's really hard to argue that he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. He is really, really good. Like he's more than I ever Andrew can tell you, like whenever we made the move, like, yeah, I bought the jersey, but like I was skeptical.
Oh, you were all in.
No, I was not. I had Andrew.
I think I was more excited than you were.
I was going to say.
I spent a lot of the early episodes of this show trying to convince you into
That's
being
what I was going to say. It's
it.
like I remember talking to Andrew and being like, I need you to convince me that this is good. Like I remember those conversations where I had Andrew.
I'm a big Wentz guy, man.
Yeah, he loved Carson Wentz, and so like whenever we traded for him, I messaged Andrew and I'm like, did we fuck up? Like I'm looking at the tape last year and we fucked up. So like I need you to talk me into this. And he's like, granted, to Andrew's credit, like he went through like multiple years and he was like, look, like last year it's an anomaly. Like there's a lot of things going on last year. His wide receivers were trash. His offensive line was trash. Like, look at what he did with Frank Reich. Like, Andrew pulled out some shit, and now, like, he made me feel good about it, good enough to where I spent $100+ on a jersey, and I'm like, okay. Like that Nicolas Cage thing that I sent you guys tonight, you know, and Gone in 60 Seconds, where he's like, let's ride. Like like that was me after I talked to Andrew. I was like, okay,
and then it was fun to watch. Like, as we continued to do shows, it was fun to watch your progression each show, because like you could tell you watch like more and more old Wentz tape between each time we recorded.
Yeah,
like,
and I was
okay, now I'm excited.
I was like,
I'm really excited.
This guy can do this. And and I told Jared, you know, the other day, even in that Tennessee game, like that play late in the game to Michael Pittman, you know, they were making the comeback after he threw
that insane deep pass to Pittman.
Yeah, where he, you know, used the ball to balance himself up, like, and popped up with the ball. He's going to his right, slings it to his left. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league that can do that. And the Colts have one of those guys. And I think right now, like, the record is not what you want it to be, which there's a lot of factors that go into
They're
that.
a better team than what the record shows.
Yeah.
That's coaching. Their record's based on
Frank
coaching.
Reich. No, I love Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich's they're averaging 35 points a game since week 4.
Yeah, and their game plan has been terrible in some of those games. You have a 14-point lead at home against Tennessee. It's early. It's early in the game. Derrick Henry goes out and you stop running the football.
Yeah, and they still scored. Like, I get that. They should have done that. They still scored 31 points. The defense, at the end of the day,
they're really bad.
But defense. If you don't trust your defense, what do? You can't. You run the football to keep your defense on the sideline.
Right.
Well,
especially whenever you have a great offensive line and a great running back.
Yeah, they should have gave Taylor more touches in the second half for sure, especially going into overtime. And Frank, like, to his credit, like, Frank Reich admitted that. And I think you saw this week, you saw a correction of, like, Frank Reich realized, like, you know, which he said.
Well, they played the Jets this week too.
Yeah, but even then, they played the Jets, but at the same time, like, you saw it early in the game, like, it was 7-7 there for like a little bit. Like, it wasn't like they started out with a 40-point lead, and they were clearly establishing the run in that game. Like, early on, even before they got up by 40 points, the defense still allowed 500 yards to Josh Johnson, who was called up from the practice squad, who made that game like there was a lot of Colts fans.
He's probably going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback this week.
Who's going to be RB1 this week?
Austin Ekeler.
Yeah.
You think he's going to do it? You think he's going to outdo Taylor?
No. Jonathan Taylor's RB1.
Jonathan Taylor's
RB1 not only in fantasy. Jonathan Taylor's RB1 in the NFL.
Who was RB2 last week?
Was it Joe Mixon?
It was Joe Mixon.
It was. Who didn't get 100 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Who did they play? The Jets. The Jets are
who won the game? Running backs against the Jets.
Who won the game?
I don't care about that. I play fantasy sports, man.
No, you just said the Jets are terrible. Look,
they are.
Yeah, RB1 on the week was a Jets running back.
Yeah,
like that game had RB1 and RB2 in it.
Who didn't get 100 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Oh Lord, what do you have? 92 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Who didn't get 100?
I was 8 yards off on Joe Mixon. That you were absolutely just demolishing.
Who didn't get 100 yards and 2 touchdowns? What was the bet? 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. If I'm Las Vegas, I'm taking your money.
Oh my God. His projection was 0.8 in touchdowns, and I doubled that.
It doesn't matter. I don't care what his projection, not his projections for me. You said 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
You had him outside the 10.
That's all right.
Did
he score 100 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Oh my God.
That's who we had for our week 8 smash at running back, and I think we have some smash and pass for week 9 too, right?
We do. So let's move on from the Odell. Let's move on from me being correct.
We'll just let you be correct. We don't have to move on for that. You're about to be correct some more.
I am about to be correct some more. And as always, whenever we do our smash and pass rankings, we start out with the most important position, and that is running back. Thank God I got away from the tight ends once again. I don't have to see that shit for another 2 weeks. Well, I should say another week, because it's this week, then next week, then I got tight ends again. So yeah, technically that's 2 weeks. I'm going to count it. So yeah, let's get into our running back smash of the week. And that is the boy, the
you took them up for this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't know, now you know. That is Austin Ekeler. And look, the matchup, fantastic. I know he's been dealing, as he usually does, with a little bit of injuries here and there. I know he kind of got banged up somehow during the bye week. I don't know if there's like that's a Carson Wentz stat. Like if anybody can get hurt during the bye week. But I do think it is minor. Just looking at looking at the numbers, this guy's consistently a top 5 performer. Looks absolutely fantastic week in and week out. And we're sitting here, we're looking right now about him going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have just been abysmal against running backs on the season. Somehow, I mean, it makes no sense to me because Fletcher Cox, Barnett, they have a very good defensive line, but for whatever reason, they can't stop running backs. And if there's any recipe for the Chargers to win this game, Justin Herbert has kind of looked a little bit pedestrian over the last few weeks. It is getting Austin Ekeler involved. The guy can do it all: passing game, running game, some of the advanced stats. We're talking about this guy's just a tackle breaking machine. I don't know how much good things you want me to say about Austin Ekeler, but really,
as soon as you're done, I'll start. Because
look, like I'm done. I was gonna say, I know Drew has a little bit more advanced statistics than I do about Austin Ekeler, because me, like, I'm just more of the eye test. Like the guy's top 10 running back in the NFL. He's always regularly producing for fantasy football, and now he gets a fantastic matchup. Really, it just comes down to that for me. So go ahead and give us some Austin Ekeler stuff.
So it's more so his matchup. On average, the Philadelphia Eagles give up 26.6 fantasy points per week to the running back position, which is the 3rd worst in football. So Austin Ekeler is going to absolutely eat up that run defense. And then, of course, he's involved in the passing game as well. Not to mention, at half PPR scoring, he's the running back 3 on the week. And my love for Austin Ekeler has been well documented if you listen to the preseason shows on our Plant Your Flag. Cam Akers was my original Plant Your Flag guy. He got hurt, and I ended up sliding in Austin Ekeler as my one of my Plant Your Flag players. Said that of the running backs drafted outside of the top 5, he was my favorite bet to finish inside the top 5. He's currently running back 3 on the year and half-point PPR, so he's making me look real smart right about now, which doesn't happen often. So thank you, Austin Ekeler, for that. But he's just the reality is he's an extremely talented player that gets the ball a lot, and he has a very exploitable matchup. So this isn't complicated. You don't have to overthink this. It's a good player, a great matchup, a great player, great matchup. Fire him up. Obviously, redraft leagues or your season-long leagues, obviously you're not sitting Ekeler, but start him with confidence, expect a big week. And then, DFS, he's a guy definitely that I've only made 2 lineups so far, and he's in both of them. I'm targeting him heavy in DFS. So, I have nothing against NFL players that don't like fantasy football or don't buy into the whole fantasy football thing, but it makes NFL players a little bit easier to love whenever they do kind of lean into it, with how involved we are with fantasy. And Ekeler is probably the captain of that. He literally last week he announced his availability by posting a screenshot of him in his own fantasy lineup. That's just he's taken my heart, man. He regularly, the fantasy footballers, my favorite fantasy show to listen to, he goes on there every year. He does a guest appearance where he does an interview with those guys every off season. The guy, he just gets it, man. And so, I love Austin Ekeler, man. I could sit here and talk about him all night, but fantasy wise, you're starting him this week, obviously, and DFS, you should be plugging him into a couple lineups as well and expecting a big week.
Yeah, it used to be the only knock on Ekeler was red zone, and that's not a problem this year either. He's taking over all red zone snaps. He's almost matchup proof at this point. Reminds me a lot of Kamara from a few years ago, where it's hard for him to bust because even if it's a negative game script, he's going to get targeted, and that's the kind of guys you definitely want to target in fantasy football. where no matter what they can be down by 14 and he's still going to get peppered up and down the field. Yeah, he's a smash. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch him go off this week, which brings us to the guy that I don't think will go off this week. And that is none other than Chase Edmonds, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. There are some issues with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. People saying they're more than likely not going to play. So we're projecting this as if they are not going to play. And look, because of that, you might think, oh, Colt McCoy comes in. They're going to try to establish the run, which they very well might. But as we've seen over the last 8 weeks with Chase Edmonds, the guy's allergic to the end zone. He will get some yards, but they use James Conner in that role in the end zone. They get into the red zone. James Conner is the most annoying player if you're a Chase Edmonds owner, because he literally scores every touchdown for that team in the rushing game. And now, unfortunately for them, say what you want about the 49ers pass defense, as terrible as it is, but their run defense is really good. So now he gets a really rough matchup in a game where they're probably going to run the ball a little bit more, but you just don't trust that James Conner. Now, Chase Edmonds did actually score a touchdown last week, his first one of the year, actually, which is crazy to think. He's got so many touches. I believe him and Jacoby Myers led the league in touches without a touchdown, which just further brings up the James Conner, the snake that James Conner is, if you're a Chase Edmonds owner. But yeah, between the 49ers matchup, Kyler Murray, it's going to be hard for that offense to move the ball, because now they're clearly going to key in on the run, which they already do at a fantastic level. Fred Warner there, along with that defensive line. We all know, Bosa, the other guys there on the defensive line. Eric Armstead's just been playing out of his mind this offseason, or not this offseason, but this season as well. So shout out to Eric Armstead. But yeah, it's a tough matchup where the 49ers, who are already good going up against the run, they're going to key on the run. They're going to make Colt McCoy throw to beat them. And yeah, you also have the threat of James Conner taking away all opportunities in the red zone. So Chase Edmonds, as much as you might be tempted to play him this week because you think that rushing volume is going to be there, I would go ahead and label him as a pass on the week.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners give up the 11th least amount to the running back position on a weekly basis, talking about 19 points a week. And James Conner is going to factor into that 19 points a week. The only thing that might somewhat work in Edmonds' favor is without Kyler Murray and without likely DeAndre Hopkins too. Like the Cardinals beat writer said, he would expect both of those guys not to play this weekend. I would expect the 49ers to possibly be in a positive game script in this game, leaving Arizona playing catch up, which Chase Edmonds is good at catching the ball out of the backfield, can get some good PPR points that way. But the upside is definitely capped. I mean, you've got a backup quarterback, you've got a tough matchup, so it's not going to feel good. But yeah, so the touchdown upside isn't there any week. And then you take Kyler Murray off the field, the offense is going to be much less effective. So now it's really capped. So yeah, I'm literally staring down a decision right now where I've got I've got to decide between Chase Edmonds or Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert's playing against a Pittsburgh defense that is even better against the run. They give up like the fifth or sixth least amount of points on a weekly basis to the running back position. And then David Montgomery is expected back this week. Now he's not going to be in his full role this week. It's his first week off IR, but he will cut into Khalil Herbert's work. And Herbert has to play against the Steelers. And then I've got Chase Edmonds having to play against the Niners without Kyler Murray. And I have to start one of those guys. So
Edmonds.
Yeah. I'm in a pickle, man. So it's tough, but yeah, I don't think, like, if I do start Edmonds this week in that league, I'm not going to feel good about it. I'm not going to be excited about it. Like, I do think this is a good pick for a pass. Just playing devil's advocate a little bit on how he might be able to produce because I need him to. But I don't feel good about it. I'm not going to be excited if I end up sticking him in my lineup. And I think if Kyler's missing, the Cardinals offense in general, and especially if Hopkins is missing too, and they're playing, so their number one receiver's gone, they're playing a backup quarterback. How can you be excited about anybody in that offense this week?
Yeah, it makes my all Cardinals fantasy team look really good.
Yeah. It's a rough week to be that. Yeah, for sure.
Did you pick up Colt McCoy?
I do. I have every Cardinals player except AJ Green. And that was because the guy that, literally he would not accept anything for AJ Green because he just doesn't want me to have him. It's just pure hate.
That's all that is.
No, I mean, I literally offered the guy $25 in a free league for AJ Green and he still wouldn't do it. And his reason was because I don't want you to have him. That was the reason.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's
sound reasoning.
Yeah, especially if you know him, that it's totally on brand.
But if you have Chase Edmonds and you're looking to pivot, who's a guy that could have a big week this week that you could pivot to?
Boy, do we have an option for you. So our sleeper is going to be Zack Moss out of the Buffalo Bills. They are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, which you might think, yes, Jacksonville's 14th against the run. They're very average. But here's the thing. With the way Buffalo's offense works, there's other things too, Zack Moss hasn't scored a touchdown since week 2. But there's other factors. One, he's completely overtaken the passing role, which we never envisioned for him going into the season. We're talking about a guy who ran, I believe, so he was on the field for 43 snaps last week with 17 routes and 7 targets compared to only 5 routes and 1 target for Devin Singletary. Buffalo should be in a very, very, very positive game script very early on in the league, which just means more opportunities to run the ball. Teams are running the ball 48% against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which means I fully expect with the uptick in workload, with the uptick in the passing game, with the uptick of Buffalo's just going to score a lot of points in this game, I fully expect Devin Singletary to break that slump, get into the end zone, his first time since week 2, finish up with some decent yardage and some good work in the passing game, and possibly be a high-end RB2 on the week, I believe. He's currently projected as RB15 to RB18, and that's about where I would slot him in at. And for a guy, like I said, if you're choosing between Chase Edmonds and Zack Moss, a lot of people might think Chase Edmonds would be the obvious answer due to some of the struggles, but look, Zack Moss is trending up. They have a fantastic matchup there. And like I said, it's going to be a positive game script. So just go ahead, run that ball, give the guy the work and let him get into the end zone. And let's just wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I certainly wish in the league I had Chase Edmonds that I had Zack Moss because I would gladly play him over Chase Edmonds this weekend. But unfortunately, I do not have that luxury. So I cannot do that. But I do like the call, though. I think Zack Moss is a good play this weekend.
Jared,
I was going to say any Zack Moss takes before we turn it over to you for wide receiver.
No, man, I'm with you on this 100%. Buffalo kills me because they throw the ball so much, but I think in this game right here, it could get out of hand really quick. I would even say even Devin Singletary has a chance if you're like, if not for like,
if you want to go like fantasy, real deep,
but if you want to go DFS goofy, like that would be someone that would definitely pivot off of some ownership. And if they get out to a huge lead, they may run him the last quarter of the game.
Right.
Yeah. And what's weird with Zack Moss, like just some usage over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Check this out. So Zack Moss is only RB36 in carries because they don't run the ball that much. And that's, even though he's RB36, he's actually out running Devin Singletary. Here's the kicker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's RB11 in targets.
That's so wild, man. I would expected that to be completely flip-flop.
Exactly.
I will say one thing about last week is Miami kept that game competitive in the first half. And that's the only mirage on that 7 target game that I would worry about. Outside of that, I still think he's going to get targeted. I think he's going to be out targeted Devin Singletary, especially, but I don't know if 7 targets is a week by week thing for Zach Moss.
Yeah, this is going all the way back to week 5. So week 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And it definitely was not what I was expecting out of Zach Moss this year by any means.
No, for sure.
Oh, I was sweating DFS too because Josh Allen had a terrible first half. Like an
ended up being quarterback one of the week too.
Yeah,
like crazy, man.
Like it was like I think he had less than 10 points at halftime.
Yeah.
I know that, I had him going in our league, and it was the bye week from hell for me, similar to what this week is. And I was getting very nervous about Josh Allen, and he ended up pouring it on for me. So that takes care of our running back, smash, pass, and sleeper, which brings us to the second most important position in fantasy football, and that is the wide receivers, which Jared luckily takes care of it for us, and we'll hand the pass over to him. Go ahead and let him take over and give you his wide receiver smash.
So this week we're gonna go with the freshly off a bye Marquise Brown. I really like the matchup in this one. There's rumors that Baltimore is going to get Sammy Watkins back, and I don't think that will cut away from Brown's production whatsoever. If anything, it will hurt Rashard Bateman's snap count. I feel like it'll take a decrease. But Marquise Brown, and he has always been yin and yang to me. Like, I always hated playing Marquise Brown. Landon, I would literally have nightmares if I had to play Marquise Brown because he's trick or treat. But we're past Halloween, and it's all treat from this point. This dude's gonna ball out on.
Well, that was fire.
I'm putting it down, baby. I'm putting it down. Marquise Brown is gonna ball out. He's my smash for week 9.
Yeah, I mean, look, on top of the fact that Hollywood is just a great receiver that has clearly established himself, and it has been a different player this year. The Vikings give up the 6th most points to the wide receiver position on a weekly basis. Their corners are hot ass, and certainly not that they, there's a lot of jokes made about the Los Angeles Lakers being a retirement home for the NBA. That secondary is a retirement home, and they are not keeping up with that young man out there in Baltimore. So yeah, I think he's about to have a big week this week for sure.
Yeah, also big on Hollywood Brown. Jared bringing the fire on that, saying it's just he's going straight to Thanksgiving. Look, you got Hollywood Brown. He's giving you.
Let's be thankful for Marquise Brown.
I was going to say he's giving you some stuffing, some turkey.
This man's about to eat.
Yeah, some mashed potatoes, some macaroni and cheese. We're throwing the cranberry sauce out though. We don't want that shit around here.
No, I love cranberry sauce.
Yeah, get out of cranberry. We don't do that shit.
Now we got to move on for sure.
Yeah.
So
you ruined the fire. So now we go to our wide receiver pass, like we pass on the cranberry sauce.
Isn't it funny week by week in the NFL? What was this guy last week? Our smash.
He was, yeah, and he was wide receiver 8 on the week.
What a beast!
So let me tell you the year Deebo Samuel's having, man. He has been phenomenal, and especially on FanDuel and Draft Kings, which I play weekly, religiously played. Nobody has played this guy all year. Everyone is just waiting for this guy to fall off. And I think this is the week it finally happens. And there's a couple of reasons why. He is nursing a calf injury. And I think that will play a little bit into it. And then the number one thing is
Jimmy Garoppolo's quarterback.
Well, Kittle comes back this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, Kittle will be back. Yeah.
And I think that's going to cut into Deebo's production. They're establishing a run all of a sudden. They want to run the ball again. I think Deebo is still he's very viable for season-long fantasy and DFS and everything, but I do feel like this week he drops off. It's going to be a pretty big drop-off this week.
Yeah, and look, I was going to say, and if we've learned anything over the last 8 weeks of the season, we know that if Jared tells you somebody's going to pass, you need to fucking pass.
I was going to say he hadn't missed on these in 6 weeks or something like that now.
What's that meme? He don't miss. He don't miss.
Yeah,
that's what Jared is when it comes to the pass.
Deck Hawks right twice a day. So.
And to Byron Murphy's credit, he's been really good this year too. So and I would imagine he we'll spend a decent amount of time on Deebo, and then Deebo's lingering with the. I mean, it's an injury he's been dealing with, but they're saying this week it got considerably worse.
Yeah.
So there's even a risk that he possibly doesn't play in this game. So he's going to make you look real smart if he doesn't play.
Yeah, I was going to say that makes the pass.
Yeah, that's a layup at that point.
But no, Deebo makes me know. Like, I mean, obviously, if he does play and you have him in your season-long league, you're gonna play him.
Oh, you're gonna play him. Yeah, you have to play him.
But like DFS wise, like he's not gonna be in any of my lineups this weekend.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. He's balled out all year, and I was one of the many that was like, I'm not playing Deebo Samuel until last week, and I was like, I'm finally gonna do it. And he went off again. He didn't even have a touchdown. He had over 20 fantasy points on FanDuel. That's insane.
Yeah,
like, he's just a great football player. Man. It's just a matter of his availability.
Like, so, for example, like if you're one of the 3 hosts on the show that traded Jonathan Taylor and Deebo Samuel in the same deal before the season started, I want you to raise your hand.
Say there's only one of us that could do that, and I know that you cannot feel good about that one. And you got Tyreek back too. It's like you got Scrubs back.
Which I traded Tyreek and turned that into like Kareem Hunt and Darren Waller and Terry McLaurin and a few other things. I got my first round pick back too.
McLaurin was supposed to have Fitzmagic, man. Like this whole year would be so much different if Fitzmagic when they got hurt.
Yeah, I would was out there.
But even with getting all that, I would rather have Jonathan Taylor and Deebo Samuel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you only knew what you knew now.
Look, with you being one of my biggest competitors in that league, I'm thankful you don't have those 2 guys. But I'm still like, even with all those moves you've made, I'm still nervous about your team. Like you still have a good team in that league, to your credit.
Well, I mean, like if Kareem Hunt comes back, I'll be fine. But
and
then now, finally, I'm getting out of like this is my last week of like bye week hell, because like this week I'm missing DeAndre Swift, missing Terry McLaurin, I'm missing Chris Godwin, and I think I'm missing somebody else too. I can't remember. Kareem Hunt's still on IR. So yeah, my team is not good this week. I'm going up against the number 1 team in the league, which coincidentally is not Andrew. Just want to throw that out there.
It's just a formality. If it went by points scored, it would be me, just for what it's worth.
But the good news is I'm actually now 1 game out of first place in our division. And both of the guys that are ahead of me have really tough matchups, including the guy that is ahead of me for second place. And he had to play Jonathan Taylor last night. So good luck with that.
Not a good start to the week.
So as long as those 2 lose, I can lose this week because Kareem Hunt should be back next week as well off of IR.
Yeah. I just need somebody to beat Turnbow in that league, man. Like I took over the points league.
He's been so lucky.
I took over the points league like 3 weeks ago in that league, but it hasn't mattered.
Yeah, it's funny that like me, you, and him lead the league in points, and y'all are like so far ahead of me record wise because everybody I play goes bananas. Like,
look, and I know like, other people don't care about other people's fantasy teams, but I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second because I'm proud of this, and I wanted to wait a little bit deeper in the season to bring this up because things change so quickly. But the 3 leagues that we're in are our 2 dynasty leagues and then our podcast redraft league. I'm number 1 in points right now in all 3 of those leagues. So like this year has been very, very kind to me. It's been a good year. And I can't wait to lose in the playoffs in all 3 of those leagues. So it's going to be very exciting.
Well, it's only karma considering you changed the schedule before the season to give yourself an easy path.
Yeah. Well, what's the point of being commissioner if you don't get to, make things favorable for you? Like, look, if you're just dropping the ball at that point. Like, what are you doing?
I've been watching impeachment, like the FX special on Clinton. I mean, if you're in abuse of power, I mean, if you got the free world basically in your hands. So.
Thankfully, my players got the memo on my fantasy team, and they were like, "Oh, we got an easy schedule, so we're going to put up all these points." Because I mean, for the record, I would have beat most teams pretty much every week.
You would have beat mine. I have Mike Davis, so that tells you how my years went. So.
But I like the Deebo Samuel call. I think that I think this could be the down week for him. It just the matchup, the injury concerns, things, and even the fact that they could be in a positive game script with with no Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins. They could be. Kyle Shanahan loves to run the ball. So
yeah, I think think that and Kittle coming back is going to hurt his production. And what I mean down week, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to have less than 10 fantasy points.
Woo!
Like, yeah.
Woo!
I don't even know if Deebo's done that this year.
No, he's not. And like I said, the guy literally had 20 plus fantasy points last week and didn't score a touchdown. So
yeah.
I feel pretty confident about this pass. And it definitely can bite me in the ass real quick.
Well, yeah. So let's get off of Deebo. And let's get on to your wide receiver sleeper. And unlike Bill Clinton, if this guy does hit, Jared has promised that he will have sexual relations with this
guy. So have you guys seen the injury report for the New York Giants?
Yeah, I stopped reading because, I had other things to do with my day, and I couldn't spend the entire night reading the injury report. But I did see the, the shit was longer than a Walgreens receipt.
Yeah, it's literally a phone book. Like, it's ridiculous. So when this guy played, Kadarius Toney went bananas. Like, and he came out of nowhere. They are in a matchup where I feel like Daniel Jones has a chance to succeed in this matchup too. Like, it's a weird one-off for the Giants. I think with Toney, like I felt like he's been their best receiver all year. They're going to get him back. Sterling Shepard is officially, I think he's doubtful. I don't think he's going to play. Kenny Golladay, who knows? Like, this definitely is.
Yeah, I don't think Golladay plays.
I don't think he does either. And then Darius Slayton, I don't trust Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton's been just bad for 2 years now. I think the Giants are going to have to throw the ball in this game. I think they're going to get some. I think Booker's going to get a lot of attention in the backfield. But I think Booker can have a good game, but I think Toney can open a game up, and he has shown flashes, ceilings where he has went off. And I think Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback in the eye test,
but he's decent for fantasy.
He is fantastic for fantasy, and he can make plays with his legs. He can open up things to where, like, it could get a guy like this with an explosive player that could have a monster game.
And also, just a heads up real quick for some of the guys, if you didn't know, we're going to go ahead and tell you, Kadarius Toney was taken off of the injury report today. Yes.
Officially.
So officially no longer on the injury report, fully healthy, ready to go.
I'd say if you're looking for a deep sleeper, I think I don't think he's going to garner much ownership. I don't think no one plays the Giants. They're kind of like the Jets. Like last week, Carter was the number one running back in fantasy last week, and he was 3% owned. So no one plays these guys, and there is potential with Toney, but he definitely can go off. If you're looking on waiver wires, I think he may be a little bit harder to find on waiver wires in standard leagues because a lot of people did pick him up after big performances earlier in the season. But if he is on there and you're looking, if you got Deebo and you just like, hey man, maybe this guy on the internet that's talking out of his butt is maybe on to something. Maybe I play Toney over Deebo this week and I look really smart for my 12-man league. I think he's definitely a candidate for a sleeper this week with a big upside.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, he was dealing with the injuries, and he did miss a game. He missed a game, came back, got hurt, missed another game. So I mean, like, he might be out there. The teams have been dealing with bye weeks and things like that. Teams might have had to drop him just because they couldn't afford to hold on to him. If the league that they're in doesn't have an IR spot, they might have just had to drop him out of necessity. So there is a chance he could be out there in redraft leagues too, even though it might be slim with how well he did once he did break out. But it's worth a look though. The matchup is tough against Vegas. They actually are pretty good against fantasy wide receivers, but the reality is the Giants are not that good. They're highly likely they're going to be trailing in this game, and somebody's got to catch the ball. And Kadarius Toney has shown elite playmaking ability to where I don't really think for him specifically, I don't really think the matchup matters all that much. Like he's that good. He makes guys miss on an elite level. And so, yeah, I think even despite the matchup, I think he could be a fine play this weekend. And it's just purely out of necessity. I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball,
At the end of the day, I like Evan Ingram in this matchup too. And I've not been on Evan Ingram at all this season, and for good reasons. Like he's kind of the old Marquise Brown trick or treat, but I like him in this matchup, and I like Booker at running back. I like Daniel Jones. I do think Vegas is a good team. but I think Vegas gets careless sometimes too, and they let teams hang around, and that game could shoot out easily.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a shootout.
Oh, so that wraps up wide receivers, and then poor Andrew, he gets the infamous
best position of the night.
Yeah, exactly. So
somebody has to do it.
Yeah, might as well be you. So yeah, let's go ahead and throw our tight end.
So my first time having the pleasure of covering the tight end smasher pass, I made this guy Mike Gesicki my tight end pass, and even went as far as to say, look, if you need to drop this guy so you can pick somebody else to play, drop him. And that was the week he went on an absolute tear. And so to make things right, I'm making him my smash for this weekend at the tight end position. In the 3 games since Tua did come back from his injury, Gesicki has a 17% target share and an 85% catch rate. The Houston Texans are giving up on average 14.3 fantasy points per game on the season, which is the 3rd worst rate to the tight end position. They've also given up the most touchdowns in the league to the tight end position. And then, also mentioned the fact that Will Fuller and Devontae Parker will not be available for this game. So I think Mike Gesicki and his best friend Tua should, have a fine game against the Houston Texans defense this weekend. And Mike Gesicki, I swear to God, if you do not do well this weekend, I will this guy will be my least favorite player in NFL history with how dumb he makes me look. So please, God, make me look smart this weekend with this terrible position that I have to cover. But yeah, so Mike Gesicki is going to be my tight end smash for the week.
I love it.
I like him this week as well. But to be fair, I almost want to pick him as a pass just because I know he's going to do whatever he can to spite you. Because you told
he definitely listens to this show as well.
Yeah, and he heard you say like that everybody needs to drop him, so he's gonna fuck you over this week.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, fuck that guy! I'm about to do really good." So now he's gonna be like, "Oh, we're playing the Texans. I'm gonna mail it in."
Yeah. Plus, I mean, too, like, the Deshaun Watson news with, Tua, like, that can go either way. Either Tua's confidence is completely shattered, which wouldn't surprise me, or, Tua is just going to come out and be like, oh, Deshaun Watson, y'all watch this shit.
I think the most depressed person in the planet could perform against the Houston Texans, so I don't have too much concerns on that, at least for this week. I think you could be down in the bottoms.
There's so many good beat the Texans in that game. There's so many good pieces in that game.
Yeah, I mean, with the other guys out for Miami.
Taylor is back, and
I know, and that makes it. I think that game.
I think that makes it better.
Yeah. I was gonna say that makes it a little bit different.
I think you can play Jalen Waddle too. You can play Brandon Cooks on the other side of the ball. Like
Myles Gaskin, I know nobody likes playing him, but I mean that's a phenomenal matchup.
What are the 2 DFS lineups I've got done? I've got
Salvon Ahmed, Jared.
I don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
No,
I think Houston keeps this thing close. I really do. I think there could be a lot of points in this game.
I just hope that for go ahead. Oh, we just jinxed ourselves right there. I was gonna say, I just hope for the Texans' sake and for Tyrod's sake that there are no doctors with needles within any kind of vicinity of Tyrod Taylor before this game starts.
I'm sure Tyrod's probably more against the vaccines than Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Yeah,
so I don't think we have to worry about that.
Well, we got an Aaron Rodgers joke.
Had to.
That was a Herbert work job is what that was.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I think you can play Waddle. I think you like the one DFS lineup I have completely made for this week so far. I've got a Tua Gesicki stack, and I've got Brandon Cooks bringing it back on the other side of it. Like I think that I think you can, explore this team for DFS or explore this matchup for DFS. But so tight end pass for this weekend. Hopefully this one does not blow up in my face as bad as the Gesicki one did week like 3 or 4, whatever that was. But it's going to be Dalton Schultz of the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't drop this guy.
So yeah, I'm not telling you to drop him, but Dalton Schultz target share is below 15% in each of the last 2 games. He hasn't had a touchdown since week 4. And for the tight end position, if you don't have one of those top guys, a touchdown is what you're hunting for. So you might think, oh, he hasn't had a touchdown since week 4. And so that means he's due. And since I'm making this call, he probably is due and it's probably going to happen. But the reality is he's playing a Denver defense that has not given up a touchdown to the tight end position the entire season, which is just another point in the favor of they're going to do it this week. But they're only giving up an average of 5.9 fantasy points per game to the tight end position on the season, which is the 4th lowest in the league. So they don't give up touchdowns, which is what you want for the tight end. They don't give up points to the tight end, and Dalton Schultz target share is going down. And then on top of that, it sounds like the Cowboys trio of receivers should be back this week. I know Gallup was making his way back from an injury, and then Cooper and CD both kind of had injuries pop up. But it sounds like they all should be good to go. He was already having a dropping target share before that happened. Now I do think Blake Jarwin is out this weekend. So the tight end 2 for the Cowboys is out, but with the wide receivers coming back, I don't really know if that's as much of a big deal as it is. But look, it's tough with tight ends, but I'm trusting the process on this one. The Broncos don't give up touchdowns. You want to find a tight end that can score touchdowns. He hasn't even been scoring touchdowns, and his target share has been dropping. So if this one bites me in the ass, oh well. I'm going to trust the numbers on this one. I'm going full PFF here, and I am passing on Dalton Schultz this weekend.
Well, yeah, considering that you just went full PFF, that means it's for sure going to work out because they don't watch film. So yeah, Jared, anything to add? I know. I know. Look at that face. Like you want to add some shit. So
I'm not opposed to people who disagree with me. Please.
I want to hear a Nas author.
I want you to be right. I do want you to be right on this one. Like whatever Landon says, you say, we all sign off on it. So at the end of the day, like I'm with you, like 100%. However, I kind of like Schultz in this week. I do like Schultz this week. I think CD Lamb's a little bit more banged up than they're putting on. And without Jarwin out there, he's going to kid all the snaps. Dallas can put up a lot of points. Man, it could go any which way, though. I think his target share is definitely going to go up. I think that part will happen. But I think Dak coming off injury, I think you're going to get a heavy dose of Ezekiel Elliott. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm going to sign on with you, man. I'm going. I'm 100% man.
That was the one point that I didn't make that I wanted to make before we moved on is that I do expect Dallas to be in a positive game script in this game. Now that could partially be because Dalton Schultz catches a touchdown, but if Denver continues to trend of not giving up touchdowns, hopefully that doesn't happen. But I do think they could be in a positive game script, and I do think that Zeke and Pollard could get some work and and kind of just grind this game out too. That's the thing about the Cowboys is they can beat you on the ground or through the air. And so if they take command of this game like I would expect them to do, I think this could be a run-heavy game for the Cowboys as well. So that was part of winning to this pick as well.
All right, Zeke. Yeah, let's get to our sleeper tight end, which we'll see if we'll have the same success as we usually do with this. We're generally pretty decent at calling the sleeper tight end. It's just the other ones that kind of disappear a little bit.
Yeah, so let's see how this goes. But for me, it's going to be Tyler Conklin. Over the last 2 weeks, he's had 8.2 and 8.6 points in half PPR scoring, and that's without scoring a touchdown in either week. So he's had an 8-point floor the last 2 weeks without getting the ever so coveted touchdown that you're looking for from tight ends. So if you add a touchdown to either of those games, you're talking about like a solid 14-point week that's putting him up at the top of the tight ends on the week. Combine that with the fact he gets to play the Baltimore Ravens defense that is giving up on average 16 points per week to the tight end position, which is the highest mark in the NFL. So if he has that 8-point floor he's had the last couple weeks and he's able to get into the end zone, you're talking about a guy you could possibly pick up off waivers that is going to give you a big week. Now, even if he doesn't score a touchdown, if he can keep that same 7 to 8 point floor, he won't kill your lineup either if you are picking him up to play in redraft, where a lot of waiver wire tight ends, if they don't catch a touchdown, they pretty much kill you on the week. Conklin has not done that the past couple weeks, so hopefully he can keep that up. If he doesn't score a touchdown, and at least be serviceable. But the upside is there to where if he can add a touchdown to the stat lines he's had the last couple weeks, he could really put up a big week for you. And if there's a matchup to do it against, it's certainly against the Baltimore Ravens from the tight end position. So sleeper for this week is going to be Tyler Conklin.
And
I'm
100%.
I'm actually flexing Tyler Conklin in one of my leagues, which is very rare to have a tight end as a flex player.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you don't have like an elite like Travis Kelce, Darren Waller type of tight end. But yeah, because of bye weeks, I'm actually forced. Not only bye weeks, but Kareem Hunt's hurt. AJ Green went on the COVID list, which he was my flex play. So I kind of had to get a little tricky. And I decided to play Tyler Conklin in the flex. So here's to hoping that your tight end sleeper has a massive hit.
I hope so for your sake too. All right, so
Curtis, so it only helps you.
Yeah, please beat him, please. All right, so let's group think the quarterback position, and we're gonna do it live. Let's look at the Fantasy Pros Week 9 expert consensus rankings, see where where the amateur experts, let's see where the actual experts have these guys ranked, and let's see the guys that we would want to play. So
all right,
we're looking at
Josh
Week
Allen,
9 rankings here.
That should be a smash. Josh Allen is gonna have a good game.
Sign me up.
Josh Allen have a good game.
Josh Allen will have a good game. I think he'll be okay this week.
He'll be super nice to everyone.
He should be a decent play this weekend.
So, yeah, I already know where I want to go on sleeper. I already know who I want my sleeper to be.
Jordan Love.
No. Now it depends. If he's been on the same holistic approach as Aaron Rodgers, and if eating clay causes him to be the MVP, then yeah, I'm all in on Jordan Love if he has been ingesting clay and other things. But outside of that, no, I'm good. But I'll let the sleeper get there when we get there. Right now, we need to put a smash, unless we really are just like going full like Josh Allen, number one.
I mean, look, I have no problem with that. The reality is most of these guys in the top 12 are going to pick for a smash. Like most of these guys, even if we don't go Josh Allen, the guy we go is probably going to be owned.
So let's say if we had to narrow it down to the top 10, like if we had to take one out of the top 10, who would it be this week?
We're going to take one guy out of the top 10 this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay Jalen Hurts.
You can take Jalen Hurts
out of the top 10. Like as far as like we're taking one guy. Oh, you mean taking one guy that's in the top 10 to be the smash?
Right. Because I mean,
you meant take a guy out of the top 10.
If we look outside the top 10,
that's a nice teaser for our quarterback pass, though.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking outside the top 10, the ceiling is going to be kind of difficult to get to. I mean, outside of Kirk Cousins because of his wide receivers, and I mean,
he was our smash last week, and that shit did not work.
It did not work out.
But I mean, inside the top 10,
the sleeper Carson Wentz. Here we go.
Inside the top 10,
good game last night.
A guy that I like this week a lot, that I've already got him. The DFS lineup we're going to work through together here in a little while. The quarterback in that lineup is Joe Burrow. I do like Joe Burrow a lot this weekend. The Cleveland Browns are they're giving up the 8th most points to the quarterback position on the year. The Cleveland Browns defense that I thought was going to be much better than what they are. The reality is they have not been. And to quarterback specifically, they have been vulnerable from fantasy points perspective. He's got all of his weapons back. T. Higgins has several weeks in the offense now. And I think that this team is pissed off. I don't know how you could get beat by the Jets and not be pissed off. So they're going up into a pivotal divisional matchup. It's a matchup that can be beaten from the quarterback position. And I believe Joe Burrow is a really good quarterback. So I'm going to trust the talent. I'm going to trust the matchup. And so, if you're grabbing a guy that isn't obvious, that's in the top 10, that isn't like, Josh Allen, the Josh Allen type of name, that would be where I would go. And I'm not digging much deeper. He's probably not out there for you in your season-long leagues, anything like that. But if I had to pick a guy a little bit farther down the list, that Joe Burrow is the guy for me this week.
Josh Allen will be the most popular quarterback in DFS. The most highest. He'll be the highest owned, with Stephon Diggs probably being the highest owned wide receiver too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he was the number one quarterback last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. Like, Josh Allen's going to be great.
I'll tell you one that I really like this week, and he's been struggling, is Justin Herbert. I really like Herbert a lot this week against the Eagles. I think they match up pretty well with them. And I think Keenan Allen's going to start being a really big target hog over the next few weeks. And then you still have Williams on the outside who can make big splashes, and Ekeler gets involved in the passing game. And that game, like, man, Philly is just, I don't know what to make of Philly this year. Like, sometimes they'll show you something, and like they'll have weeks where they just completely lay flat and just like been over and take it. Basically, it's bad. But I think Herbert's due for a bounce back. I think it's coming.
I mean, it's with a quarterback as talented as Herbert, you think it has to happen eventually. Now, to Philly's credit, they are much better against the pass than they are against the run. They're a top 12 defense, at least in terms of fantasy, against fantasy quarterbacks on the year. So they are a little bit of a tougher matchup. But with the weapons that Herbert has at his disposal and just the talent that he has, you have to think that seeing 2 weeks the way that we've seen 2 weeks in a row from what we saw last week, I don't know how likely that is to happen. So, I do think that he could have a bounce back week as well. But the matchup is a little bit tougher than it might seem on the surface whenever you just say, oh, he's playing the Eagles, and you think about how bad the Eagles as a team are. A lot of people's eyes might light up. And so just, take it for what it's worth, that to their credit, they have been much worse against the run than they have the pass.
Both those quarterbacks have one downside to them that I just kind of thought about this too, is that the Eagles, they like to run the football a lot with Jalen Hurts, and it slows the game, and it's going to be less possessions possibly for Herbert. And the same thing with Burrow. If Cleveland sticks to their MO, they're going to run the football as well.
Very true.
Which can lead to less possessions.
Yeah, Nick Chubb should be back as well. So
yeah. So I mean, those are two things.
Yeah,
but both those guys
Nick Chubb played last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Both those guys have such elite talent on the outside that I mean, it's hard not to like Burrow's weapons and Justin Herbert's weapons.
Yeah, very true. Landon, you got a different name you want to throw in there? I mean, you threw in Josh Allen already, which is a solid pick. But anybody else inside like the top 12 that that you're really high on this weekend?
Do it, Landon. I know where you want to go. Just do it. You want to go back to the well. I know you want to.
What's the well?
Who's sitting at number 10 right there?
Damn, Kirk Cousins.
Do it.
No, I'm actually going to say, look, if you want to take a flyer, I'm actually okay taking a flyer on Jordan Love this week. Just because the Kansas City defense, it really is that bad. Anytime you can make the Giants look like an actual NFL team, you got some major issues. So even though Kansas City, they're probably going to score a lot of points, that means
which that's definitely more of a sleeper pick. So
that's more of a sleeper. I actually have somebody lower than that.
Oh, nice.
And initially that I actually want to go as a sleeper. But yeah, it's I think Jordan Love could possibly sneak into quarterback one territory. We haven't seen him. It really is like a dart throw, but I watched enough college tape to I actually liked him coming out of the draft quite a bit. Aaron Jones.
I did not.
There.
This will be interesting because I did not come away very impressed.
But
even saying that, I still think he could be. I still think he could be a fine play this weekend just for fantasy.
He needed a lot of refinement. I think tool wise, I think he has the tools to be a really good quarterback. Kind of similar to like how Josh Allen was coming out, where like you hated Josh Allen, which actually just proves my point. Like if you hated him coming out, then he's probably going to be really good. So, because that seems to be how all that works. So yeah, I mean, I like as a dart throw, but yeah, I like both of those options you guys gave there. I'm totally on board with that. And
that's not good enough. You got to pick one: Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Josh Allen. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's my smash of the week. Like, say what you want. I'm not taking the easy way out. Call me LeBron James. I'm front running.
Well, we smashed on Hollywood. What about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I like Lamar a lot this week. I think he's going to have a great game. I mean, he's quarterback 2 in the ECR this weekend.
I'll tell you who I love this week. I'll tell you who I love this week. It's Matthew Stafford.
Oh, he's about to play such a good game, man.
Stafford.
Oh, man.
Bananas. I'm talking about like 4 touchdowns.
I like Tannehill as well.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns is just kind of like a.
How are they going to score?
They're not.
They're going to get shut out.
That's a very simple explanation. They're not.
They're not going to get shut out.
No, they won't get shut out. I mean, they still have a field goal kicker. 9 to 53. Crazy.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, they're gonna get dog walked. I'm so excited for it. I'm gonna be tuning in. I'm gonna be texting Andrew. I'm gonna be such a Rams fan on Sunday night.
Hey, same.
Yeah, full. All right, let's
smash.
Smash.
So we got a couple options for smash, and we got Josh Allen, we got Justin Herbert, we got Joe Burrow, and whatever one does best on the week, I'll throw them up on our YouTube short next weekend.
Yeah. So just for autonomy purposes, just to make it clear one way, if I am going to be the tiebreaker. So Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Joe Burrow this week. I think Joe Burrow is going to be the option this week. I just. I think Cincinnati, especially Joe Burrow, I know for sure, just because if he's the competitor, I think he is.
Yeah, he seems like the type of guy that would be really pissed.
Exactly. I think he's going to be really angry about that Jets game last week, and they're going to come out. I mean, it's a divisional game.
That's the part that makes me nervous, honestly, is divisional games are so weird.
They usually are.
Yeah, it could be Baker Mayfield this week.
Yeah, I mean, that could be another guy that's just like, oh, we don't have Odell now. Watch this shit.
Seriously though,
but that could play even better into Joe Burrow's hands, that they're going to have to throw the ball. And as we've seen, when they throw the ball, good things happen.
I love Joe Mixon. I've hit the table a million times for him all year. I'm not on Mixon this week. I think Cleveland does one thing well, and that's stop the run. Outside of that,
I'm not on Mixon this week either.
And they give up a ton of yards through the air. Yeah, I'll sign off on Burrow too, man. I'll change from Herbert to Burrow.
Let's go Joe Burrow, quarterback smash of the week.
All right, so who's our quarterback pass then?
Pass of the week, and going to Big Jared's, point earlier, taking Ryan Tannehill pass of the week.
Ooh, all right.
Even though he's like ranked quarterback 15 in this.
Tua was ranked down in like the 20s or something, but he was coming off of 2 really, really good games, and there was people out there that were probably starting him. So,
well, I mean, AJ Brown's banged up. Julio is, as we know, always banged up.
He's probably out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to play this week.
He'll
play a few snaps and then he'll get hurt. And
I think he'll be ghost man out there anyways.
But
Julio's.
But even then, like the Derrick Henry injury completely changes that offense. Even if Adrian Peterson, as we talked about on the last episode, he might be able to find some success. Who they did bring up to the active roster fully today, because they say they've been so impressed in practice. I mean, like when's the last time you heard an NFL say like, "Oh, this guy fucking sucks"? So we're gonna.
Well, and it's not like it was some secret that they were
right. Exactly.
Not gonna, like everybody knew he was gonna play this weekend.
I don't think Peterson's gonna like go crazy or nothing, but I think he's efficient, man. Like he was efficient with Detroit.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say I think he'll have 4 yards a carry. Like it's not gonna be anything crazy. He's not gonna bust one on you.
If they get on the goal line, he's probably gonna convert it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he's a good running back, man. He's not a human. Like most people his age are not supposed to be good.
But here's the thing: is like missing Derrick Henry not only does it affect the run game, it massively affects the pass game, because now teams are just going to be playing like
they're not going to be near as scared about play action.
No, absolutely
no,
absolutely not. And as we've seen, Ryan Tannehill has turned the ball over a lot this season. He's missed a lot of throws. He has not been efficient at all, and that is with Derrick Henry. Now that teams are going to be playing the pass, especially the Rams, who is they're already fantastic, rushing the passer. Now they add Von Miller to that. You look at the back end with Jalen Ramsey on which, whether it be Julio, whether it be
likely
AJ Brown.
I would think.
Yeah, and AJ Brown's already banged up.
It's not even a guarantee AJ Brown plays.
Yeah, exactly.
Like his
and if AJ Brown is out, and then you have Jalen Ramsey on Julio, I mean, you're looking at like Chester Rogers.
They've done it this year already, though. Chester Rogers.
Yeah, with Julio Jones.
And
no, I meant with Derrick Henry. Like it's a different offense.
I'm totally with you, and like I'm a firm believer in volume.
Yeah, well, here's the thing too with that is like Ryan Tannehill, like as far as like, with the Joe Burrow thing, as far as like if Baker comes out and does good, Joe Burrow's going to have to throw. Well, the Rams will for sure shred that defense. And like if the Colts play as bad as they played in that game and they still drop 30 plus on them, the Rams are like, you're looking at a 40 piece. And the Titans are going to have to throw to keep up with the mistakes that Ryan Tannehill has already made with having Derrick Henry in the game as far as the turnovers. Now that teams will be basically sitting back and waiting on him to throw the ball instead of, those linebackers pushing up as far and the safeties pushing up as far. Those days are gone. So,
yeah, and I mean, depending on where you look, which pretty much anywhere you look coming into the season, Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams, who isn't as much known of a name, but had an incredible year last year, they were considered, one of the top 3 corner duos in the league. And Darius Williams had been on IR the previous 3 weeks. He got activated from IR this week, is expected to play this weekend. So that secondary gets, not only does the pass rush get a big boost with Von Miller, but they also get their clear second best cornerback this weekend as well.
Yeah, I know there was an injury to Sebastian Joseph Day.
He is a big interior piece, but he's
not Aaron Donald.
No, and it's not to take away from him, but they have guys like Greg Gaines and people like that. They can fill in, and they won't really miss a beat there. And Sebastian Joseph Day has been a good player, but
that and the fact that Von Miller is playing now.
That's oh, dude, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think if there's any avenue for Tennessee to succeed in that game, which I don't think they're going to. I think the Rams are going to win that pretty easily. But if they can get a little bit, if they can get 4 yards to carry out Adrian Peterson, if McNichols can get open as a pass catching running back, that's the one area that the Rams do struggle in, is they have trouble with pass catching backs.
They do.
And Tannehill isn't the most unmobile quarterback in the league. If he has to run, he will. Mm-hmm. And if they're sending him a rush, there's possibilities where he can. Yeah, I would take him over. I mean, right now, if I'm looking at it, I would take him over Derek Carr this week because I think it's a blowout.
No,
I think it's a blowout, and that's a game right there. I take him over Tua against Houston. Even, I mean, I would. There's no other avenue other than him to throw the ball, and yes, it can blow up.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you're projecting him he's going to throw the ball. It's going to be a shootout. Yeah, he might have to throw the ball, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to score touchdowns.
Yeah, I get that, but how many touchdowns did Wentz have against Tennessee?
2, 3.
How many pass attempts did he have in that game?
50.
That's all I'm saying is the volume should be there theoretically. He's going to have to throw the ball because they don't have any options.
But Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry's not playing, and he's not going up against the Colts defense that allowed Josh Johnson to throw for 347. That's not the same script. It's a completely different animal.
I understand, and I'm not saying he's a sleeper. I'm telling you, there is an avenue for him to get there. I do think there is an avenue for him to get there. Me personally.
Yes, when the Rams get up by 50 points for them to put in their third stringers. That is the avenue for Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
I mean look at last week with Houston.
The two times they've given up a top 10 quarterback this week was Tom Brady and was the Houston Texans last week, who they were up. I think it was 38-0 going into the fourth quarter, and then they benched their entire defense.
Exactly.
They take their foot off the gas too, man. When scores get out of control, and that's
what I'm saying. Is like that's the only avenue is they're going to have to get up by like 40 points, and then
Tennessee's defense is that bad though.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say they very easily could. I mean, get up by that many and then set. But like, I don't want to project. Like, I'm not projecting a guy to be a smash based off the fact that they're going to get blown the fuck out bad enough.
Oh, no. I'm not saying splat.
Or not smash. I'm talking about pass.
Like, he's basically, Jared's just saying he's basically not on board with the pass, which, so if, you know, the whole point of us doing this live is to give
I just like,
options,
okay,
so
let's just call this what it is. I want any opportunity to shit on the Tennessee Titans.
Well, okay, so
I think that's really what it is.
I'm unbiased here, man.
I think we've done that, and Jared has given some solid points in the opposite direction to try to, you know, like, I mean, you're a Colts fan, I'm a Rams fan, and Jared's a Colts fan too, but Jared is trying to be unbiased here. He's trying to play devil's advocate, and so we've given both sides of that.
Jared's
game.
Trying to be nice.
No, I'm trying to paint a picture here.
But
there is an avenue.
I'm clearly on board for that pass pick. But what I would like to know is, you know, Jared, if you want to go a different direction, what's one of these guys on this list that you would want to pass
on? In that same range, Tua.
Sure, you have to say anybody in that range.
I would pass on Tua. I think Gesicki gets in, and I think they run the ball a lot. I think Gaskins is going to have a decent game in that game. I think that game could be kind of slow paced. Or it could shoot out. Like that's a weird one. Houston's a weird team, man. And when teams like they suck so bad for 3 quarters that teams give up and they just start letting them do whatever.
I do think they're a better team. I think that the Texans are a better team with Tyrod at quarterback, and he is going to be playing this weekend. So I do think that game has a little bit more of a chance to be kind of competitive, at least to where, you know, the Dolphins can't just run the clock out for, you know, from the second quarter on, anything like that.
Aggressive.
But the Texans do suck in a very, very, very bad way. So, you know, you could see it playing out that way too.
I mean, lower on the list, like I know who Landon's sleeper is going to be. I already know who it is. So, and I think Tannehill will outperform him this week.
No.
So I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a guy a little bit high. So just for the record, Ryan Tannehill will be my pick too. But just to go a little bit higher, a guy that has basically been great every week that I'm really nervous about this weekend is Jalen Hurts. And it's tough to say that about quarterbacks that run the ball because the floor is so safe for running quarterbacks. But that Chargers defense, man, they, especially against quarterbacks, they are not one to play with. I mean, they give on a week-to-week basis, they give up the 4th least points to the quarterback position. And
do you think Brandon Staley's not already saying, like, we're going to stop him running the ball?
A defensive mind as smart as Brandon Staley, I don't think it's going to take much for him to crack what they need to focus on for the Philadelphia offense to slow them down. And so this would definitely be the week for me that I would be most nervous to start Jalen Hurts. And I mean, that's a guy, I don't think he's been outside of the quarterback one range like all year outside of last week. Yeah, like last week.
He had a bad week last week.
And that was this is for the kind of the opposite reason, you know, like last week they were just blowing them out so bad. They were blowing out the lines so bad that Hurts just didn't have to do anything. This week, I just think this is more so just a credit to Brandon Staley. I mean, on the year in total, they've given up the 2nd least amount of points to the quarterback position. And then on average, on a weekly basis, they've given up the 4th least amount to the quarterback position. They don't really give up points to the quarterback. And, I mean, they've played Dallas, Kansas City, Vegas, Cleveland, Baltimore, New England. You know, it's not like they're playing the Texans every weekend. So that would be one that I would be nervous about. Now you're probably starting him. If you have him, I'm just saying like Jalen Hurts is going to be in none of my DFS lineups this weekend. But my pick, my choice would be Ryan Tannehill, but I feel like with us doing this live and just going off the cuff and giving these picks, you know, I'm just throwing another name out there we haven't really talked about yet. That would be another guy I'd be kind of nervous about this weekend.
Yeah. All right. So look, do we have a consensus? Do we have Tannehill? Do we have Hurts?
Ooh. I mean, if I had to pick between the two, I'd fade Tannehill. Like, and I know I just had this like long speech about, I mean, Jalen Hurts is rushing upside. You can't, it's hard to fade.
Yeah. Right. It's a scary
so look,
thing.
Ryan Tannehill's our pass.
Yeah. All right. So we got Joe Burrow, quarterback smash. We've got Ryan Tannehill, quarterback pass. So let's get to quarterback sleeper then.
All right, Jared, who's my quarterback sleeper?
Mac Jones.
God damn it. You know. Look, it's
I'm willing to say Ryan Tannehill will outscore Mac Jones this week.
No, he won't.
Okay.
Because you know why? Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill is.
Mac Jones has played 8 NFL games.
And he's a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill.
Oh my Lord.
Okay.
One thing I have learned about this, one thing I have learned about Landon is he loves him some Mac Jones, man. This guy is like
when Landon loves, he loves, and when he hates.
He is the leader of the Mac Jones fan club. I don't think there's a Patriots fan that loves Mac Jones more than Landon does.
Who would have ever thought that like a Patriots quarterback I would push so hard for?
I think you just want somebody, you know, anybody to prove the system quarterback narrative. You fought for it so hard over the years.
That ship sailed like years ago. No, it's just Mac Jones as far as like, man, like the last few weeks, like really like the last couple weeks, like he's really like, you can just see. I mean, he was already impressive as far as the rookies go, to start the season. But he's getting to the point now to where he's impressive for any quarterback in the end, not just rookies, like for anybody. Now he gets to play a Carolina defense that, they do have Stephon Gilmore is going to be back there. Who knows how to attack Stephon Gilmore? Who knows all the weaknesses of Stephon Gilmore?
Belichick probably has a pretty decent idea.
Yeah, I would say he has a pretty good plan on how to attack Stephon Gilmore. As well as,
and the plan might just be don't.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be.
That
Mac
would be
Jones.
a smart game plan.
And so here's the thing too with Mac Jones. A lot of the big issues of Mac Jones has been, well, he doesn't really air the ball out that much. He's averaging more yards per pass than Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, not Carson Wentz, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and is tied with Josh Allen as far as yards per attempt. The guy is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL in yards per attempt, averaging over 8 yards per pass right now. Has completions of over 40 yards multiple times. I want to say 3 to 4 completions over 40 yards in the past 2 weeks, which means he is now getting more comfortable in the offense where they're opening it up. They're taking some deep shots. Now he gets Carolina. And those tight ends are really kind of settling into their own as well. They're kind of learning what works, what doesn't work. Now they are very heavy running the ball, but I think Carolina is really good at stopping the run. They're going to use that play action to their advantage. And they're really going to attack the middle of those fields with those tight ends. I think this is finally the week Jacoby Myers gets into the end zone. And I think
gotta feel for the guy, man. Like I hope so.
He converted 2-point conversion last week. It wasn't a touchdown, but he did catch a ball in the end zone.
Yeah, they counted for points.
Yes, so I think he finally gets into the end zone this week, and I think Hunter Henry is kind of coming in as well. I think Hunter Henry or Jonnu can score this week.
I still think it's hilarious how much money they're paying Jonnu Smith to just be a blocker.
Yeah,
I think that the Patriots are going to Patriot whenever it comes to free agency. And look, if it wouldn't be me if I didn't have a chance to dunk on Bill Belichick's decision making. So, Joe Plow.
Hey, look, right now they're in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. So,
and look, to your point, Carolina is the in terms of fantasy points to the running back position, they give up the second least. They have been very tough against fantasy running backs. So you would have to think they're to their credit too. I mean, they're top 12 against fantasy quarterbacks, but that's not as good as top 2. So
no, and I'm telling you right now, man, just watching the tape on Mac Jones, like it's night and day to where he was even 6 weeks ago. I mean, it's like the kid is like like borderline top 15 quarterback in the NFL right now. He's that good as a rookie. So yeah, I'm all in on Mac Jones this week. I think Mac Jones.
Whoa! Did you say top 15?
I did.
Landon loves Mac Jones.
Hold on. Who guaranteed Mac Jones wins a Super Bowl on this show before?
I mean,
I know damn sure what me. So I'm assuming there has to be a
he has a chance to win a Super Bowl. I mean, he's still got another 15 plus years to play.
Well, yeah, but you said like out of all these guys, like Mac Jones would be the one that wins the Super Bowls. You're like, I remember this conversation.
He was drafted in the best situation of any quarterback in that draft.
Yeah, just by virtue of not having Matt Nagy, I think he wins that. So, but even then, like, yeah, like
I think he's gonna be good, man.
I think he's gonna be the best quarterback in this
right
class.
now. Like,
I do. I think he's top 15 right now.
Nah,
we're talking about going into week 9. We're talking about over the last couple weeks. You can't tell me 15 quarterbacks that are playing as well as Mac Jones has over the last couple weeks.
Well, this list right here notes 15 that are playing better than Mac Jones. Right
Ryan
now.
Tannehill is not. Daniel Jones is not playing better than Mac Jones.
Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Joe
Patrick
Burrow,
Mahomes
Jalen
over the
Hurts,
last
Carson
2 weeks
Wentz.
is not playing as well as Patrick or
you said okay. Last 2 weeks.
I'm saying going into week 9 right now.
All right, so I'm gonna leave Mahomes out of this. Okay, I'm gonna just let me get through this list.
Okay.
Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr.
That's 12.
And I'm still like, and Russell Wilson has not been playing. If Russell Wilson's out there, he's above him.
I agree.
And then I'm not fucking taking Matt Jones over Patrick Mahomes. Like
no
Patrick Mahomes is not playing his best football right now.
I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm just saying purely for like week 9. I don't like.
I think top 15 is a fine barometer. That
now, he might be
able
15.
to like. You might be able to try to squeeze him into like squeeze your butt cheeks together, get him in right there at the back end. But like,
I mean, I would take him over Matt Ryan. I would take him over Teddy Bridgewater, Daniel Jones.
Right.
I
would. Yep.
Tua probably. Yeah. I mean,
Taylor Heineke.
I think he's going to be good, man. Jalen.
Yeah, I think he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like just real life quarterback. Yeah.
Right. I think he's going to be a good player.
He's already a good player.
I just don't.
Well, regardless,
I can't sign off on it yet.
Okay, I mean that's fine. Nobody wanted to give me Carson Wentz last week either, and he.
Hey, no, hold up. I was completely on board with you. I was about to say I was completely on board with that pick.
But I'm going Mac Jones, quarterback sleeper. I think he finishes as a. I don't know if I want to put him top 10, but I think he sneaks into quarterback 1 territory this week.
I mean, the guy I like, we've already mentioned him as a pass, so I know it's not going to be a popular pick, but he's great. He's ranked in the top 12, and most of that's because of the matchup. But so he's not necessarily a sleeper, but he's coming off a really bad week, and I think he has a fine week against the Houston Texans. I mean, the reality is even without Devontae Parker.
Oh, to be fair, this is a perfect opportunity for him to show Houston what he can do next year. Whenever they
trade for him in the offseason. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. I hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, the Houston Texans give up, the what is it, the 5th or 6th most points to the quarterback position on a weekly basis. So, and like if you look at average points, like the defenses that are giving up the average points to the quarterback position on a weekly basis, Washington comes in at number 1. They're on bye. Kansas City is number 2. They've got the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. So if you want to go there, like Landon already brought Jordan Love up. I think he's a fine play. I think you can do that if you have to. The Dolphins are number 3. And they've got the Houston Texans. So you're talking about Tyrod Taylor there. San Fran's number 4. but you've got the backup quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. No, thank you. Atlanta Falcons is number 5. And you've got Trevor Siemian now that they've decided not to start Taysom Hill. And then number 6 is Tua's matchup with the Texans. So, of those top 6 guys, you're basically deciding between, like, just based purely on matchup, which is for sleepers. That's kind of what I do. Whenever you're talking, like, sleepers is essentially streamers, whenever you're talking about the quarterback position. And whenever I'm looking at a streamer for a quarterback, most of the talented quarterbacks are already rostered. So you're looking at guys with good matchups. So you've got Jordan Love, you've got Tyrod Taylor, and you've got Tua. And so for me, I would be, out of those top guys, I would be going with Tua. And the rankings kind of reflect that already because he does have the good matchup, but I think he could be a good play this weekend.
Jordan Love's very interesting.
He is interesting.
Mac Jones has got. I think he's got a good chance. If Carolina does what they've done,
Mac Jones has the exact same average depth of target as Mahomes and Justin Herbert this year.
Yeah, part of that
you don't have the talent, though, man.
The Chargers the Chargers offensive coordinator is not doing Justin Herbert. He's not giving him, like, I haven't, like, that is accurate.
I want to say this, but I don't like him, so I'm not gonna promote PFF on here.
Oh Lord.
Which PFF analyst is it? Because I like some of them.
No, it's just the regular.
They're not all bad.
Yeah, just the PFF.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You know who the highest graded quarterback is since week 5 in the NFL?
I'm gonna guess it's probably Mac Jones.
It is Mac Jones. I'm not talking about rookie quarterback. I'm talking about, like, all quarterbacks.
Yeah. I don't buy it. I don't think Mac Jones has been better than Josh Allen since week 5. I don't think he's been better than Matthew Stafford since week 5.
I agree.
I mean,
he's not had a game all year where he's thrown more than 2 touchdowns too, and he has no rushing touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, well,
which matters.
Definitely caps his fantasy upside, right?
Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise, motherfuckers. It's week 9.
He's 0-2 this week.
You are like, man, you love Mac Jones. I can tell how mad you get. Like anytime someone's like, well, he hasn't done this, you're like, well, he's done this, goddamn. Like, and this is what he's gonna do.
No, it's just the eye test, man. Like,
I think he's a fine quarterback, man.
He's behind Tua.
So good, man.
He's behind Tua, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield, and Carson Wentz, and pass EPA
in the NFL,
and pass EPA so far this year.
Yeah, of course he's behind Carson Wentz.
I don't think you would expect him to be behind Tua or Baker Mayfield in that stat, though.
Well,
I think for fantasy,
played in like 3 games, so
I think his ceiling can only be so high in fantasy because Bill wants to run the football. That's the biggest concern.
Yeah, and I think Carolina's taking that away. I think they're going to target the play action game this week and get those tight ends involved.
Yeah, that is one thing definitely playing in Mac Jones' favor is Carolina just really limits teams running back. So and look, if we know that, Bill definitely knows that. So, like, that is one thing.
I'm just trying to get into the mind of Bill Belichick, and really,
good luck.
I'm trying to get into the mind of Josh McDaniels. So I'm probably like, once I get past the fart jokes and
Josh McDaniels is still somewhere, just wishing that he had Tom Brady still. That's where his mind's at.
He drafted Tim Tebow in the first round.
But yeah, no, look, if there was a week for Mac Jones to be fantasy relevant, considering how good Carolina is against the running back position, this is definitely the week. But if I had to choose, just me personally, and obviously it's the one I brought to the table, so of course I'm going to say it. I would take Tua over Mac Jones.
I'll be an island boy on my own island. I'm on the Mac Jones island boy.
You do love you some Mac Jones, though. Look, if Mac Jones turns into a slam dunk in the NFL, you're going to get to victory lap it until your legs fall off. So
yeah, look, there's 2 things I love this week, and that's the Island Boys and Mac Jones.
They're both trending.
They're both what?
Trending.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going up. It's only up from here. Which if you're the Island Boys, it's pretty much if you just stop smoking crack, you're on an upward swing. So,
man, there are players I do like Mac Jones more. Like, not to give you a lot of shit. There are several quarterbacks I would take Mac Jones over right now.
That's fine. You're entitled to that. Everybody.
No, I mean, I would take him over. Like, I would definitely take him over Teddy Bridgewater, Matt Ryan. I mean, overall better quarterback than these guys. Daniel Jones.
Washington's quarterback situation.
Yeah, they're
we're just talking pure fantasy. I mean, like if we're just talking like real life quarterbacking, like I said, I think he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL right now. And there's plenty of numbers to prove it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're talking about just fantasy wise.
Sam Darnold got an F. God dang. Is he even playing?
I think it's going to be a game time decision.
Yeah, I think he's trending towards it, but that's going to be tough.
That'll probably be the last time Sam Darnold gets mentioned on this show, because he's never going to be high enough to be a pass, and he damn sure ain't going to be picked to be a sleeper. So,
boy, he looked good week 1 though.
Yeah, first like 3 weeks of the year, whenever he was running, he was throwing, throwing passes to Christian McCaffrey and had 5 rushing touchdowns.
DJ Moore has been like a ghost the last few weeks.
Interesting to see what happens whenever CMC comes back. It'll be interesting to see if they, if the offense bounces back.
Robbie Anderson got the dreads. He's out there with the Island boys.
Robbie Anderson is breaking every nerd statistic out there. Like he is fucking like burning people's minds, because he's got the air yards, he's got the targets, he's got the market share, and he's doing absolutely nothing with it. And everybody's like, this makes no sense. And
he has more touchdowns in the last 3 weeks than DJ Moore though.
Was DJ Moore got 0? Yeah, so I had the same amount of touchdowns as DJ Moore over the last 3 weeks.
I'm pretty sure it was at least the last 2.
Well, look, the good news is we should have just picked DJ Moore to smash, because I'm playing against him this week, which means DJ Moore will have 3 touchdowns.
He could do it at any time, man.
Yeah, he's a great player. It's definitely not DJ Moore.
Oh no, I fully expect DJ Moore.
Wow, DJ Moore's last receiving touchdown was in week 4.
Damn.
He had 2 touchdowns in week 4.
If only he had Mac Jones throwing him the ball,
he would be in a lot better shape.
Better. Yeah,
yep, you're absolutely right.
Mac Jones is definitely better than Sam Darnold. There's no debate to be had there. So can we come to a consensus on the sleeper? Do we want to roll with? Do we want to give do we just give Landon his Mac Jones love for the week? Because I don't have a problem with
you gave me Carson Wentz last week, and
it worked out last week.
I was on board with that one, and I don't really have a problem with this one. I do think, if there's a week for him to have a fantasy relevant week, it's this one. So
let's do it.
Mac Jones is our quarterback sleeper for the week. Here we go, Landon.
Let's go.
So that brings us then to where we start to make some money.
I forgot we were doing this.
Or at least try to. I know this is starting to feel like a midweek show with how we're running this thing.
The last 4 games, 73% completion percentage, 1,042 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 105 passer rating.
Over how many games? 4 games?
4.
Yeah, see, that's the part that sucks, is 7 touchdowns over 4 games. Like for fantasy. Like you just
fantasy.
It would be nice for that number to be a little bit higher.
Mac Jones fantasy numbers, he had 1 week over 20, and that was against the Jets. And then he's been he's hitting about 50. So what they have him at is pretty accurate. He's about good for 15 fantasy points.
All right. So what are we doing to make some money this weekend? I guess we can start with DraftKings, since that's the one we always start on, and that's the only one that I even play on.
On FanDuel or DraftKings?
FanDuel. Sorry, not DraftKings. Yeah, DraftKings. I do not play on FanDuel. I do though. And I already have one lineup set, and I was in the process of setting another one before we started hitting record. So I'll let you go ahead and give the lineup that you had for us this week, and then before we move on to DraftKings, I would like your help finishing out this lineup I have going, because I like the pieces I have so far, but I need to finish it out. So, okay. What are we doing on FanDuel this weekend?
Well, we're gonna try to be a little bit different. We were talking about Herbert earlier, or I brought up Herbert in the matchup with Philly, who Philly's actually been tougher against the pass opposed to the run. So we are going to have a Herbert stack, but it's going to be with Austin Ekeler to be a little bit different. No wide receiver, just Austin Ekeler and Justin Herbert. We're going to have enough salary where we're going to have Alvin Kamara as our second back.
Nice. Okay.
And then this right here is basically to save salary. I don't really like this pick, but we're going to go Laviska Shenault in a keep up matchup where they're going to have to keep pace with Buffalo. He's at 5,500. And this hopefully is the bounce back week. I got DJ Moore as a wide receiver.
Okay. Carolina or New England secondary has been pretty bad against wide receivers this year. So,
yeah, I don't think CMC is going to play. If he does, that will completely change everything. And at that point, we look different. It may make things even better for DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson if CMC plays. At the second wide receiver, we're going to play Cortez Watkins of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is a one-off, low rostered player in a game, hopefully with a high total. And we basically were hoping Jalen Hurts can be quarterback again. And then a tight end, I love the matchup here. I'm really nervous about playing this one too, but I love the matchup and the ownership it's going to be next to nothing. It's Austin Hooper at tight end against Cincinnati.
Somebody's going to have to catch the ball there.
Yeah, I think it's going to open up more targets for everybody, including Jarvis. Chubb has never been a receiving running back. It's just not his forte, and they're not going to try to make it in his forte at this point. So either tight end in that matchup, whether it's Njoku or Hooper, I like both of them, but I think Hooper has more of a snap count than Njoku. So I would go with the guy that's going to be on the field the most, and that's Austin Hooper. And then I said it wasn't a double stack, but I decided against it. I am going to have Keenan Allen as a double stack with Justin Herbert. So that would give you Austin Ekeler and Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen proved last week that he is still the number one guy in targets for that team. I think Mike Williams is definitely the ceiling guy because his ability to get in the end zone. But I think because Philly's defense is a little bit better against the pass, they're going to try to take Mike Williams out of that game. They're going to take up everything up top, and I think it's going to open up space for Keenan Allen to have potentially a good receiving day. What are you shaking your head about, Lane?
No, I'll let you finish this before we get into this.
Okay. And then to round off a defense, I got the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys defense has gotten a lot better, and I think they cause turnovers. They cause a lot of turnovers. And that's FanDuel. What were you shaking your head about, Lane?
The Raiders' first-round corner last year, Damon Arnett, has now been accused of injuring a woman in a car crash last year in Las Vegas, as well as threatening people with a gun to murder them.
Jesus Christ.
The Raiders, bro, what is going on? Henry Ruggs was picked 12 in the draft last year. Damon Arnett was picked 19. Those guys got drafted back to back. Yeah, anybody still thinking Las Vegas is a good idea? Like what? I
think Mike Mayock might not be a good idea.
Well, John Gruden actually had control over the draft. Mike Mayock was not in control of who to draft.
Okay, well, I think the Raiders might just be a bad idea then to not give
there we
control
go.
Of why that's okay. So yeah, I knew that Gruden played a role, but I didn't realize that Mayock had like no role in the draft. That's
there's been a bunch of things in like the last hour or two, the last few hours. He got accused, of the car crash incident, and who knows what that is. But he is now on his Instagram with multiple loaded weapons threatening to kill someone, as well as leaking DMs, I guess, from people. I guess he's replying to people in his Instagram DMs using homophobic language and profanities. And it is now leaking as well.
This man's taking Grand Theft Auto to real life.
Man, yeah, what is going on? That franchise is fun, which is just further proof. I'm glad we put them in the pretenders category, because if it's like every 3 days, like some Raiders player, this is their first round cornerback. Like this isn't some like little like like practice squad dude. Like these are
it's a shame though, man.
It's sad
because
honestly.
you have it's a shame though. You have of course you have the Ruggs news now this, but you also have look at Josh Jacobs' story. I mean, how he got in the NFL.
Yeah.
Remarkable. And then Derek Carr, people
Derek
constantly
Carr seems
give
such an incredible dude.
Yeah, man. And he takes so much crap from the media and just sports ESPN, Fox, all these places for years. And all he does is
I would love to have Derek Carr as my quarterback.
No shit. I think, where it's easy to say oh, it's great as Mayock. At the end of the day, man, it's hard to judge character based off of small samples. Henry Ruggs had no record. He made a horrible decision and it cost him everything, and it cost someone their life, and it's terrible. But you can't blame an organization for everything. I mean, obviously they need to do better searching into things, but in Ruggs' situation especially, I mean, that's not on the organization at all.
No, that's definitely on Ruggs, the person. So one FanDuel lineup I've already got finished. I've got the Tua Gesicki stack, and then I'm bringing him back with Brandon Cooks, and then I've got Ekeler, Josh Jacobs, T. Higgins, Russell Gage, and Hunter Renfrow in the Bills defense. But there's one that I was filling out whenever we got ready for the show that I kind of got stumped on and was hoping you guys kind of just help me finish it out. So I've got the Joe Burrow T. Higgins stack because I wanted to play Burrow against Cleveland, and I wanted to have somebody to stack him with, and I figured Jamar Chase would be the obvious pick. He would be the more owned pick, and Higgins is starting to get more involved. He's, coming back from the injury, and I think Higgins is a good player, so I do think he can have a solid week. So I went with Joe Burrow and Higgins, and then I've got Austin Ekeler and Boston Scott, and I've got Hollywood Brown as my wide receiver too. So then that leaves me with another wide receiver spot, a tight end, a flex, and a defense to try to finish off with, basically. So
you got a Burrow stack with Higgins, a skinny stack with just Higgins.
Yeah, skinny stack with just Higgins, and then I don't have anybody from Cleveland to bring that game back against, but I've got $22,800 left to spend. I need a wide receiver, a tight end, a flex, and a defense.
Why don't you go Austin Hooper at tight end? That gets you a part of that Cleveland game.
Okay.
That could be your bring back.
Yeah.
He's fairly inexpensive. What's your salary remaining?
So now I've got 17.9 left. I need a wide receiver, a flex, and a defense. Looking at some of the receiver options that I like personally this week, you got Jalen Waddle down at $6,100 that I was kind of eyeing for this spot. You've got I'm trying to decide which corner I think is going to get covered by Trayvon Diggs more often, because I do think one of Judy or Sutton could be productive, and Judy's down at $5,800, so he's the cheaper of the two. You've got our wide receiver sleeper, Kadarius Toney, down at $5,700. I could throw in Henry Ruggs for $5,700. I know, but
well, I think I like your lineup already because you went with Marquise Brown over Jamar Chase, because I think there's only a $200 difference, and I think the majority of people are going to be on Chase opposed to Marquise Brown.
Right.
So I think if anything, you're going to get an ownership discount and save $200. Man, if it was me, I would plug in a defense, an inexpensive defense. I wouldn't pay up for defense.
So we've got. See, let me see how cheap I'd be willing to go. You got the Chargers defense against Philly for $3,700.
Okay.
I do like that idea. I would even be willing to, as bad as the Chiefs are, you've got the Chiefs going up against Jordan Love for $3,300. I don't think Jordan Love goes that entire game without creating at least one turnover. But Chargers against Philly for $3,700. I do think that the Chargers defense is better than that, and I'm not necessarily too scared of the Philadelphia Eagles offense as long as they're not playing the Detroit Lions. So yeah, plug them in for 3,700. So that leaves me $14,200 to figure out a wide receiver 3 and a flex. How do you feel about Waddle this week?
I love it.
Okay, so if
he's getting a ton of targets,
right? And Devontae Parker's out. Will Fuller's still not coming back. So if I put Waddle in, that leaves me 8,100 left for my flex. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's the one thing I love about FanDuel, man.
I'm $100 away from being able to plug in Zeke. But like my options, so I've got 8,100 left. My closest options are Deebo Samuel, which we're off on this week. Jamar Chase, if I wanted to double stack the Bengals. Travis Kelce is at 7,800. Stephon Diggs is at 76.
Oof. So I think Diggs is the obvious.
Nick Chubb is at 76, going up against the Cincinnati run defense that isn't very good.
I read a statistic, man, like last week. Kenny down there. I read a statistic last week that the flex position.
It's better to play a receiver, right?
Yes. Because of ceiling.
Targets are king.
All right, so
if it was me, I'd go Jamar Chase to have your double stack.
Ooh. We do have Burrow as a smash.
That is true. That is true. And that's still which I'm not opposed to leaving money on the table, but
nope.
that leaves me $200 remaining. So not a lot of money on the table either. If I went now, the one question I want to ask you, if I went with Diggs, if I went a little bit cheaper, that leaves me $500, and then I could possibly go from Austin Hooper to our tight end sleeper Tyler Conklin. Would you rather have Diggs and Conklin or Hooper and Chase?
I think Diggs is in a phenomenal position, man. I just, what size tournament are you playing? The big one?
Yeah, it's one of the big ones. Yeah.
Oh no, Hooper's not going to be very much owned either.
I would go Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase and Hooper.
He's going to be, yeah. Jamar Chase is going to be half the ownership of Stephon Diggs.
Okay, there we go. That lineup has been saved then. All right. So thanks for helping me work through that. So what are we doing for DraftKings this weekend?
Let's see here. Everyone's favorite DraftKings. Oh boy. So the way it's looking right now for DraftKings, I want to do something a little bit different, and I think you guys will like this. So we are going to go Josh Allen at quarterback on DraftKings. He's by far the highest owned. No, let's not go. I don't want to go that route after all, man. I really don't. I want to be a little bit different. Let's see here. I've got a few lineups I'm kind of looking over. Oh boy. Okay. Prepare for this. So we're going to go with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So Daniel Jones has upside. We all know that. And the salary is just so good at 5,600. And here's the key part to it. We're going to save a ton of salary with the stack, and it's going to open up a lot of things. So we're going to go Daniel Jones with a stack with Kyle Rudolph at $2,600. And basically we're throwing a dart at tight end. But that's going to allow us to pay up, and we're going to have Austin Ekeler as a running back in that lineup in a full point PPR. We are going to have Jalen Waddle at wide receiver with Marquise Brown at wide receiver, Brandon Cooks at wide receiver, Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, and running back, we are going to go with, this goes against everything I want to do, but we're gonna our double stack for New York is gonna be Devin Booker as our second running back.
Devontae.
I'm sorry, Devin Booker.
I don't mind that though. Honestly, I think Devontae Booker, he's been really involved and he's been pretty good, to be honest. I mean, just watching him play, Devontae Booker's been a fine running back whenever he's had to fill in for Saquon.
Well, and also with it being full point PPR, his numbers aren't crazy in a receiving game, but he did have 6 targets last week, and he had 3 the week previously and 4 before that. So he is being targeted. a little bit. And with them being missing as many wide receivers as they're projected to miss this week, they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. And it's going to be Toney. It's going to be they've got to figure out how to spread the ball. So that lineup is, I think that's a pretty good lineup, and it gets that ownership pretty low too, with Daniel Jones and a Kyle Rudolph add on. So you got Daniel Jones, Devontae Booker, Austin Ekeler, Jalen Waddle, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks, Kyle Rudolph, Tyreek Hill, and the defense. I picked the Chiefs defense because I do think Jordan Love could have a turnover or two in that game.
Right. So just to sum it up, we love Austin Ekeler this weekend.
Yeah.
That is what we do. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up anything we wanted to cover in the show. We even got some weird Raiders news here at the end. So if you listen to this, if you're first time hearing it, glad we could break that for you. And outside of that, I mean, let's just get ready for a fun week of football. Now that the Colts have won, I can just sit back and enjoy a week instead of spending lots of money to watch them lose, because that's never fun. But anything you guys want to add, or are we good to go ahead and close this out?
I'm still mind blown. It's already week 9, but outside of that, I'm just ready for another fun week of football, man. So of course, if you've made it this far, if you've made it through all of the shenanigans throughout this show, we appreciate you guys hanging out, listening with us. You can, find us anywhere. Podcast can be found, Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever the case may be. We are there. We would appreciate if you guys can follow, subscribe, whatever that platform wants you to do. And then if you want the visuals to go with the audio, we are on YouTube as well. At the Amateur Experts Podcast. If you could go over there, subscribe to the channel, be sure to click the little bell that pops up, get 2 shows a week. And then now we are rolling out some YouTube shorts as well. So little short 60-second clips summarizing how the week went for us and things like that too. So just some added content as well. So any subscribe and likes and things like that we can get over there, we do appreciate. While you're here on this video, if you're on YouTube, or if you're not, you head over to YouTube. If you could like the video while you're there, we would appreciate it. And then drop in the comments, let us know if there's a player you're really high on or really low on this week that we didn't touch on. Let us know who that is in the comments so that we can continue the discussion with you guys. And the likes in the comments and stuff like that really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm as well. So we appreciate the support through that avenue as well. Even if you want to just jump in the comments and say we're idiots, it still helps us. So jump on in there and let us know. So you wouldn't be the first one. There was shout out to the New York Giants fan back on the NFL draft episodes that said we had no idea we were talking about.
Their year's going well.
Yeah. I think he just needed an outlet for his anger because his team sucks. So if we need to be his punching bag, we can also serve for that purpose too.
Liked our video.
He probably came back just for that, because we did say the Giants sucked in that tier list too. But hey, and if you haven't yet, go back and check out the midseason tier list we put out on our most recent upload before this one. We went through each and every NFL team, put them in their kind of basically their playoff outlook, their outlook for the rest of the season, how we feel about each team, if they're a Super Bowl contender, if they're if they're a dumpster diver, whatever the case may be. And so go check that out if you haven't yet, and be sure to find where your favorite team is ranked, and then tell us how wrong we are, because those are always fun discussions too. But regardless, we any likes, comments, subscriptions, listens, anything we get from you guys, we do appreciate it, and just enjoy going through this crazy ride with you guys.
Oh, faux show. So, Jared, anything to add?
Nope, you guys
Awesome.
pretty much summed it up.
All right, so get ready for week 9. We will have this out, and we will see you after the week, more than likely on Tuesday, where we are going to be breaking down the Odell Beckham to the Lions news. Just kidding. Maybe. I don't know.
Hopefully.
We'll find out. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you next week after week 9.